The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. For decades, the West thought they had Africa divided. They thought the revolution was confined to the dusty streets of Bamako and Ouagadougou. But lend your ears to the South. Just days ago, President Duma Boko of Botswana stood at the border of Zambia and dropped a geopolitical bomb. He didn't just speak, he roared. He declared Africa will rule the world. This isn't just diplomacy anymore. This is the Traore effect reaching the Zambezi River. Listen to the history. The professors won't tell you. Boko pointed to our roads and railways and called them what they really are. Infrastructure for evacuation. Since the Berlin Conference, every bolt and nut in Africa was laid to take wealth out. But Boko has joined the chorus of the Sahel. He says the era of cutting raw materials away is over. Like the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, Boko is demanding beneficiation. He is telling the world, if you want our lithium, our gold, and our diamonds, you will build the factories here. As the proverb goes, the chicken has realized that the corn belongs to the one who owns the land, and not the one who brings the bag.
Yesterday is ideal. Tomorrow is too late. The people we lead want results. They want their lives to change. Not tomorrow. Yesterday. We don't have the luxury of time. And so our role as leaders is to identify any strictures, any obstacles, any dilatory processes that hold us back, that impede progress, that thwart and frustrate delivery. And our task is to remove them and remove them instantly. Africa will rule the world. I make those statements unapologetically. I make them very forcefully because they will turn out to be not only just sagacious, but prophetic. You watch. And there are many basic, rudimentary reasons why this is true. Africa is the youngest continent in the world. The median age on the African continent is 19 years, 3 months. Youngest, young people, healthy, dynamic, bristling with verve and vitality, enacting a dynamism that is unrivaled on the face of the earth. That is the future. A continent endowed with natural resources, aside from its people, their talent, their dynamism, natural resources unmatched. Of course, we have suffered the resource curse, which expresses itself even in the way the infrastructure is laid out on our continent. You can tell that the infrastructure is for evacuation of product and produce out of Africa. We cart minerals away in the raw. It is now time for Africa to process its own minerals, to beneficiate, to harness the talent and the energies of our people and produce and power the real economy. The real economy is where goods and services are produced. The infrastructure that has entrapped us in a situation where we evacuate our minerals and process is now changing. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement impels all of us. It imposes an obligation on every leader, every citizen of every African country, to raise the level and volume of intra-Africa trade. We need to reorganize ourselves and our infrastructure to create links and connections between our countries. The better for us to then be able to move goods across our continent seamlessly, efficiently, viably. We now have the Kazungula Bridge, part of the first few, at a certain point, faltering steps in the direction of creating these regional connections and opening up the channels and corridors of trade and cooperation. The Kazungula Bridge is here, iconic, majestic, connecting two countries, poised to be the exemplars of what collaboration can achieve. The author Fyodor Dostoevsky tells us, he says, "Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me a glint of light on broken glass." They say to me, the ministers explained, that when they came here a few days ago, the queue of trucks crossing was 7 kilometers. They banged their heads together, and in a very short period of time, they came up with immediate remedial interventions, as a result of which, in a period of 2 days or so, that queue has now been reduced to 3 kilometers, still moving. And the aim is that there be no queue at all, that goods move efficiently. And this is the spirit of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. They have also resolved, in line with the instructions given by the two presidents when we met in Addis, that this border will now operate 24 hours. It is but just the beginning. We are moving rapidly in the direction of a non-stop border post. That is where we are heading. It will require of us the deployment of appropriate technologies. And on this note, I am aware that the Botswana Stock Exchange is well advanced in bringing about technology that will enable this non-stop border. They came to present their ideas and concepts to me with their partnering technological company. And when I finished with them, I gave them a simple injunction. I said to them, go and implement. Don't brook a moment's delay. Yesterday is ideal. Tomorrow is too late. That's the instruction I gave to them, I give here. Yesterday is ideal. Tomorrow is too late. The people we lead want results. They want their lives to change. Not tomorrow, yesterday. We don't have the luxury of time. And so our role as leaders is to identify any strictures, any obstacles, any dilatory processes that hold us back, that impede progress, that thwart and frustrate delivery. And our task is to remove them and remove them instantly. The President of Zambia and I are of the same mind when it comes to this. And we will ensure that we deliver concrete, tangible outcomes for our people, for our countries, for our region, and for our continent. It is important for us to do this. The relationship between Botswana and Zambia, which has been healthy and vibrant, strong, will grow stronger, more vibrant. The inauguration of this authority, the Kazungula Bridge Authority today, is to cement and to inject more life, more energy into this relationship, this cooperation, this bilateral togetherness. We know that the real economy must be powered by finance. We need financial resources. And I mentioned the Botswana Stock Exchange because Zambia was able to mobilize from the Botswana Stock Exchange 500 million pula to develop industries, the factory plant in Zambia. We want more. We want finance to be mobilized and deployed in the service of development and transformation. We must raise the finance. We must provide environments that conduce to the deployment of the finance. And finance will not wait on us. We need to move with dispatch so that finance can descend into the praxis, into the real economy and power industries and enable innovation. I've said before, I say it today. We must innovate. Innovation is about experimentation. It's about moving away from the beaten path. It's about pushing yourself away from your comfort zone. It's about pushing yourself sometimes even to breaking point in order to achieve feats that would never have been achieved before. We must constantly innovate in relation to the very processes and procedures that we are so beholden to, that we think have served us well and have lulled us into a complacency in which we've internalized, routinized them and turned them into sacred cows that are unreviewable. We must review these processes every moment of the way. The rate of our success will depend on the level, the scope, and the pace at which we innovate. We either innovate or we perish, for we will be left behind. These are the realities that we face. These are the issues that confront us on a daily basis and with which we must wrestle smartly, wrestle sustainably, and wrestle in a manner that advances the cause, not just of our individual countries, but our region, our continent, and our world, which we will rule as the African continent. I was talking to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the owner of Manchester United, 2-3 days ago. And I was talking to him about football. And he said to me, the sport of football has evolved. He says if you look at the English Premier League 30 years ago and you look at it now, there's a marked difference. He says the sport has become a sprinting sport. It requires a fair bit of physicality. And he says if you look at those metrics, you cannot but realize that the future of football is Africa. And that's the truth. Indeed, the future of anything really is Africa, the cradle of humanity. We contend here in Botswana that humanity originated somewhere in the salt plains of the Makgadikgadi. We maintain that vigorously until the contrary is proved. And I think anthropologists will prove us right. And if they do, it will then establish that that Garden of Eden may actually be somewhere in this republic.
Here is the suspense the media is trying to hide. There is a secret thread tying the AES and the North Botswana and Zambia in the south. While the Sahelian is fighting with steel and boots to kick out colonial militants, Boko is fighting an economic war by opening the Kazungula border 24 hours a day and telling technocrats that yesterday was ideal, tomorrow is too late. He is creating a satellite of sovereignty. He is aligning with the revolutionary spirit of African humanism. He realized that when Botswana needed help in the health sector, he didn't call London. He called the brother in Zambia. This is the end of the begging bowl era. Why is the West trembling? Because of a single number, 19 years and 3 months. That is the median age of Africa. Boko called this prophetic. He knows what Traore knows. An army of young, dynamic, and unapologetic Africans cannot be stopped by old colonial tricks. He told a story about the owner of Manchester United admitting that the future of everything is Africa. But Boko went further. He claimed that humanity began in the salt plains of Botswana. He is reclaiming our genesis to secure our revolution. This speech was a roast of every African leader who is still waiting for orders from Paris or Washington. Boko is telling the PUPPETS that the parade is over. The Sahel has the boots. The South has the economy. When they unite, the continent becomes an unstoppable force. Remember the proverb, a river that forgets its source will surely dry up. Boko has remembered the source. The Sahel has protected the source. Now the river is flooding the banks of oppression. Is President Boko the unexpected ally the Sahel alliance has been waiting for? Is the revolution finally moving from the desert to the diamond mines? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe Africa must rule the world, hit the like button and share this to every corner of the motherland. Africa Mama, Africa Oye. Africa must rule the world. If you continue to be calling on Washington, Paris, and London, Africa will never rule the world. Like Professor Jeffrey Sachs said, it is not about the numbers, it is about the power. So if Africa, we have all that it takes when it comes to the age, and we do not have the power, we'll continue to be slaves to other people. So the leaders must understand that as much as they speak, they need to act. If we will control the narrative, if we will rule the world, then we need to take control over our resources and not sit in African Union and be pointing fingers at our brothers and sisters in the Sahel who are rather fighting to make sure the African rules the world. Ruling the world is not in speech. The people that are chasing Africa are not speaking, they are acting. So we need our leaders to also stop talking, stop speaking. Like the people in Botswana are not tired of Boko because some of them believe that Boko talks too much instead of acting. And that is what our politicians do best. They talk and they can't act. We know that you know what you need to be doing. The leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso aren't talking, they are doing. So we need you as leaders in Africa, Zambia, and Botswana to stop talking and act. Come together, join your brothers and sisters in the Sahel, join Madagascar to do the work. You can't continue to be calling on investors to develop your country when you don't want to empower your people to develop your country. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are empowering the African. That is what we call African solution to the African problem. You can't call investors the oppressor to come here and give us 7% out of 100 and claim that you are developing your country. Invest in your youth. Empower the people so together we can invest and to change our narrative. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the citizens are investing in their country and they believe that if the nation will progress, they need to build it. So politicians should stop giving themselves the fat increments when it comes to their salary and then invest it in the nation. It's not about coming to make the money out of governance. If you are a leader, a politician in Africa, you are there to save your nation. So why always increase your salary by that far? That is why Africa, we are not moving forward, because it's like politics is not a business. But Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the leaders ever since they came, never increased their salary. Look at the peanuts they are taking. They still maintain their military salary. Yet you come and you are not doing anything. Speech. Do the needful. You have outlined these things beautifully. We want you to follow that and make sure you don't call on other people to come and develop Africa. Africans will have everything it takes to develop our continent. And if Africa will become better, it is us. China didn't call on other people to come and develop China. The China that you run to for loans, China-African Summit, giving us big grammar. When things were not in good shape in 1949, China looked inside. Russia did the same. North Korea did the same. So why is it that Africa wants to move forward, yet the leaders are always calling on the same people that are oppressing us to come here and move Africa for us? We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, Southern Africa, and in Botswana.